Hi everyone, hope you're well. Hope 2020 has kicked off in a good way for you. I hope you have said farewell to 2019 in a way that offers space within yourself to embrace the goodness that is in front of you, inside you, and all around you, particularly at a time where things seem to be apparently in the world becoming even darker than what we thought was dark. If you read the latest news, and especially from my part of the world, whether it's in the Middle East, obviously, where I am, or Australia, other parts of the world, it can easily be looked upon as a dark and gloomy time, and it is in many ways. And I think if we're honest enough to embrace that as an honest, objective reality, and if we're willing to not live in denial, I think there is benefit in looking into that gloomy darkness. And the reason I say this is because I would like the first episode of 2020 to be related to the subject of the dark side of art. So, a lot of people tend to look at art obviously as an expression. There's a lot of light and a lot of color very often associated with art. But I don't think many of us truly appreciate how much of art is connected to a dark side, a side that is not seen in the production of the piece of art or the piece of expression. So take any art, whether it's music, dance, poetry, literature, absolutely any form of human expression. What we get to see is the end product. As viewers or as consumers, we tend to only see how it's emerged in its final states. What we don't get to see is what the artist has to go through in order to share with us that final piece of offering. And a lot of the greatest works of art have traditionally come from a tremendous amount of pain, suffering, and darkness. And it's the bravery and courage of the artist, in my humble opinion, that has the bravery to look into that darkness, look into that suffering, not turn away from it and crumble, but to actually lean into it and dive straight into it and search. And there he or she finds something that helps them deal with that darkness. And in so doing, start to produce something that alchemizes that darkness into a tool or into an expression of light. So very often, a lot of pieces of art are really triumphs over darkness, or should I say, triumphs because of darkness. And I find this dark side of art very, very intriguing. And I'm just going to share with you some of the stories that I have come across. I very often forget names, but I don't forget the essence of the story. So I know of a story of a notorious criminal. And I think this was in somewhere in Glasgow, and I heard this when I was studying there at the time to do my undergraduate studies. Notorious gangster, I think in the 60s. And Glasgow at that time was very rough. It's very different now. It was European city of culture multiple times, and very tame compared to the 60s with the mining industry, with just a lot of the suburban crime at that time. So this notorious gangster was in and out of prison many times, murder, theft, so just a person in a lot of darkness and causing a lot of pain and suffering. And somehow this notorious murdering gangster in prison started to paint, and he would paint the most amazing pieces of art, and to see such a criminal mind, such a murderous, devastating, violent human being, completely infatuated with the task of drawing or painting a perfect flower or a perfect tree, or a perfect sunset, is for me such a moment where you look at that piece of art, and when you look at the background of the artist and the darkness of it, and then you see how they took that darkness and they made it into something completely different. It makes me think, really. It makes me think of how we all may have the ability, not just, maybe not in painting or anything like that, but we have the ability to turn the darkness that we're in into something more positive. If it's art, it's art. If it's music, there's a number of things that can be done to use that darkness. I know from my own experiences that some of my best, what I'd like to say, the poetry that I'm proud of somehow. I'm proud of every single piece of poetry that I am able to produce, because it's a celebration for me. I don't write it because I want people to read it. I write it because it helps me. It helps me deal with my darkness. So anything I write is a triumph for me. And if people like it, I mean, that's just the cherry on top. But I know certainly when life is really pounding, when life is really dark and painful, and I know when I pick up a pen, somehow I'll just write a word, and a word leads on to the other word. The next thing I know, I have a few verses down. And when I share that sometimes, and people read it and they go, "Wow, that was a really good poem," and to my surprise, it's like, man, if you knew what I had to do, what I had to go through, the sleepless nights, the pain, the suffering, the agony that you will never know, and I hope you never ever do know, the agony I had to go through that produced those words. And obviously I don't tell people that, but that's in the back of my mind. But the truth is, those words did come out of that pain. It did come out of that suffering. And I think the greatest things in life are like that. Did we not all get born through pain, through suffering? And our existence here is a very significant event. So it really makes me think about how we do live in a life of darkness, with all that's going along, going in the world around us and within us. Most of us are stuck in occupations we don't like. Some of us are even in relationships we just do not feel appreciated in. And I'm not talking about the good days and bad days, we all have that, but there are some people that are going through situations at work, and situations at family, and situations at their home where it is dark. I mean, there's no other way. If you're honest and you stop denying the very fact and just call it what it is, you know, if you have the bravery to do that, and somehow search in that pain and search in that darkness for hope, for anything that will just make the pain less or help you survive it as long as you can. You could be a person that has a tremendous opportunity in front of you. What if that pain, what if that suffering, what if all that ugliness and that darkness was there to help you find something that you would never ever find, produce something that you would never ever produce? Would you not want that to happen? What if what you produce would not only save you or help you survive, even if it's just a day, but help many generations after you, people that would never see you, but associate you with one particular work? Forgive me, guys, for forgetting this particular artist's name. I know he is Palestinian, but I also know he studied in Israel. This guy was apparently so good that the Israelis had him study on a full scholarship and gave him accommodation, if I'm not mistaken, in the school, in the art school itself. And this person must have gone through an incredible amount of pain. I can only imagine what a youth would have to go through in that situation. If you know anything about the Palestinian-Israeli exchange, let's just call it that. And there's a beautiful painting. I'll try and remember his name. Forgive me, but there's a beautiful painting that he drew of a cactus. And cactus has a very, very strong meaning in life and in art, but particularly within the Palestinian way of being in culture. A plant that survives the harshest of conditions and is able to protect itself. It's able to withstand nature's harsh reality. Very little sustenance, but it's there and it's live and it's strong. And I'll never forget, and I had the pleasure, the absolute pleasure and honor to see this piece in the original in Dubai by a very, very good friend of mine, Sultan Al-Qasimi, which I'm very privileged to have as a friend. And I'll never forget this piece. It looks so simple. It's just a cactus, a painting of a cactus, and on the backdrop of that are the lights of Tel Aviv, the city lights and suburbs of Tel Aviv. It's night and you see, I will never do this painting justice, you have to see it, but you'll see the lights of the houses, some dark, some light, and the cactus on the windowsill of the view that he sees from his very, very humble accommodation in the art school that he resided in. And I know for a fact that painting, I could feel the darkness this young man was in, and for him to produce such a painting under such circumstances, not despite of it, but because of it, is an inspiration to me. So I just wanted to share this the dark side. So if of art, if you're angry, frustrated, you got a lot of gunk in your life, you've been wronged, you're just on a bad track. Let's not deny that. Let's use that. You've got juice, man. You got energy. Let's put that energy to something apart from messing up the world. Let's put that to use apart from hurting ourselves. Anything can be art. Whether it's music, scribbling on something, a word here, a word there. Just stop hurting yourself. Stop using that energy to hurt others that are innocent. That darkness, that gunk you're going through could be a gift that is supposed to help you produce something you wouldn't otherwise produce. So I'm going to sign off right now. First episode 2020. I look forward to a year of darkness that we collectively turn into much light, much wisdom, much kindness, much strength, much love. And I think we all have it in us to help each other and ultimately to help ourselves. So that's it from me, guys. Episode 1 of 2020. I have no idea how many episodes we've done in this series. I hope you guys are enjoying this, and I'll continue to offer what I have to offer. All the best, and see you real soon.